Welcome back, Keith Tebow, FRC Media. Thank you for joining us and continue to join us as we provide news and information about things that are happening within the city of Fall River. It's been a while. We focus a lot on some of the social service agencies that have really stepped up and provided needed care and needed services to our community during the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's been a while since we caught up with the United Way of Greater Fall River, and I'm joined by now with Kim Smith. She's the Executive Director of the United Way. Kim, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you, Keith. I'm great. How about yourself?
I am doing well. So, before we get started about some of the things that the United Way is continue to do through the COVID-19 pandemic, I want to talk about a couple of initiatives that are sort of new that hopefully will get people excited over the short term. One that's actually happening beginning next week. It's what the United Way is calling a week of action, and that's people getting involved and helping out in their community. Talk to us about that.
Sure. So traditionally, June 20th is the day of action for United Ways across the country. But unfortunately, in these times, gathering people together to participate in a collective effort is a little bit difficult. So we came up with the idea of doing a week of action where folks can get out within their own respective communities or their families or their workspaces to take part in their own sort of action effort, if you will. And that could be anything from doing a local neighborhood cleanup to painting inspirational rocks and leaving them along a path to weeding your neighbor's garden. Really kind of anything goes. As long as it's done with the best of intent in helping those in need. And we try to make it fun. We're posting things on our Facebook page and all of our social media and providing some fun little prizes for folks who send us a pic of them taking part in the week of action in some way, shape, or form. So we encourage everybody to get out there and do what they can and, help thy neighbor, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where, in the past, a lot of people would volunteer at a local service organization or, a local event, a food pantry, if you will. It's a little more difficult to do that in times of COVID. So just helping your neighbor, helping an elderly person really goes a long way, especially not only during the times we're facing, but also just in general, being more respectful and more helpful to people. And I guess that's really needed now, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, gee whiz, as if COVID-19 wasn't enough for us, all the unrest that's happening across the country, it just reminds us that, lead with the heart, lead with kindness, and good things happen from that. So, if it's just some small way to do it, and if we can encourage folks just by simply saying, hey, it's the week of action, get out there and do something, that's fantastic.
Right. Another initiative that the United Way is working on is, even though we've been consumed by COVID-19, there's an election that's going to be held this year. We know a little bit about the presidential election, but there's also a state election as well. Our local legislative delegation, our Congress people, U.S. Senate race is up. And I know the United Way is also working at getting people to start getting interested in voting and registering and those types of activities. So what is planned for that?
Sure. So, once again, our social media platform is constantly active, and we do work with United Way Worldwide to make sure that the initiatives that are important are at the forefront, not only across the country, but on a local level. And so we're just sort of blasting information about being able to get out there and vote, whether you are able to or not able to, rather, to vote by mail. If you haven't registered to vote yet, how to do that, and just making sure that folks are educated and also well-informed, encouraging folks to learn about who's in the race, who's running, what is their platform, what does the candidate stand for, and just to get involved. So it's really more of the advocacy piece in this arena that United Way is kind of encouraging folks to get out there and vote. Now more than ever, we know that our voices make a difference, and so if you want to see the change, you have to participate, and that's by voting. That's our right. So,
and I know that that's something we always do here at FRC Media as well. We try to introduce people to the candidates, and we'll be doing that, and we'll have more on that little tease there for the people who are watching on what we plan to be doing over the course of the summer through interviews like this. But one of the things I want to get back to, Kim, is, you and the United Way have been really in the forefront of providing services for our community and also providing some funding for some other organizations in our region in terms of continue to provide those services for people through food pantries and the like. We spoke early on. I think I was looking at my notes. Actually, early April was the last time we spoke one-on-one about what the United Way has been doing. So fill people in again on what the United Way has been doing and continues to do in terms of meeting the needs of our community and helping with some funding options for some other local organizations.
Sure. Thanks, Keith. So really right out of the gate, when it was announced that folks were going to have to stay at home and so forth, we launched our COVID-19 relief fund, which was the United We Help Greater Fall River COVID-19 Relief Fund. And I'm happy to say to date, we've raised close to $350,000 just for that fund alone to help our Greater Fall River community. We did do one round of grant funding and gave out $151,000 to local nonprofits that were really assisting folks at the front line, if you will, whether it was essential workers, whether it was those most in need and vulnerable, all COVID related. And so we do plan on a second and third round of grant applications to be announced a little bit later. We're also working with the Community Foundation of Southeastern Massachusetts to help coordinate and collaborate with them, not only to get funds out there, get the word out, and to make sure that we're working together to assist those most in need. And to that end, we've also been a recipient, if you will, on the other end, because part of what we've been doing for the last 10 weeks is United We Feed Greater Fall River. And that's in collaboration with United Neighbors, the Boys and Girls Club, along with many, many, many community sponsors and local restaurants to deliver meals ready to eat to families. And the Community Foundation, through the Mass COVID Relief Fund, sponsored that as well. And basically, we've been working with the school department to identify families most in need for a variety of reasons that, they couldn't get out of their home, or maybe there were health issues, or whatever the case may be, transportation, etc. And that's grown from 100 families per week. And this week we're going to deliver to 280 families per week. Wow. We're engaging 6 local restaurants during that period. And then we're also working with 4 other restaurants to provide brown bag sandwich lunches to some of our homeless friends that are living on the streets as well. So that's been going on for 10 weeks. And right now we're going to continue until likely sometime into the summer. So yeah, it's been a great response. We've had, upwards of 50 to 60 volunteers every week. So that's really cool. People were looking for things to do to keep themselves busy. And it's always a feel-good event too, to give back in that way. So if you're interested in volunteering, you can always reach out to us.
Yeah, and I know as you head through the summer, you're always looking for the support, financial and otherwise, human resources, if you will. But as you head toward the summer, I know you're starting to plan for what normally happens late summer and actually into the fall is the annual campaign. Any thoughts on how that may look this year because of people's financial situation, and you've been asking for financial donations for, this relief fund? Any thoughts on how that may shake out as you head toward the fall?
Sure. So the COVID Relief Fund is really separate and apart from our annual campaign, obviously to address the emergency needs that were emerging as a result of COVID-19. But it doesn't take away from what we do every day throughout the course of the year for the last 73 years, which is engaging our community partners to raise funds to help local agencies and initiatives that are focused on education, financial literacy, and health, along with hunger and homelessness, of course. So yeah, it's going to look a little different this year. And you're absolutely right. August is generally when we kick off our annual campaign. We had last year a fantastic scavenger hunt down on the waterfront, and lots of folks came out to participate and kind of start getting the word out and drum up excitement. But this year, with many organizations sort of keeping their doors closed, we're not going to be able to go in and make presentations. So we're looking at some virtual platforms and ways in which we can continue to engage our community members, our businesses and organizations, our foundations, those that support us, generally speaking, and to engage new people who are looking to continue to support the needs of the Greater Fall River area.
Yeah.
So, COVID-19's maybe brought some new folks into the mix that are willing and want to assist. And certainly with the volunteer component, we've made a lot of new connections as well. And, I think people recognize that we're still a very necessary entity out there. And we do really, we do a lot to help kind of collaborate and convene people. So that's also an interesting part of it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been saying that throughout this pandemic, there's been a lot of challenges, but also potential for a lot of opportunity. And I know that you've been doing that, and the United Way has been doing that throughout this entire process. Kim Smith, the Executive Director of the United Way of Greater Fall River, thank you for joining us again. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks for having me, Keith. You take care.
All right. All righty. And I want to thank all of you for watching today, and we'll be back again very soon. Have a great day.